Mahmud Abbas, in his infinitesimally small wisdom, said that taking the Arabs out of Gaza is illegal and immoral, etc., etc. The only place for them to go is the places that they were taken out of when they left in 1948. So I wish to address Mr. Abbas. I'm about your age, Mr. Abbas. Maybe you're older, I'm older, I don't know who is. But I want to tell you a little bit of law, which is the law of the Noahide law, which you appear to adhere to. The Noahide law is that a land that was captured by a king becomes part of the kingdom. And by extension, the Muslims say that a land that was captured by Muslims in the name of Islam becomes Islamic land eternally. That's what you say. Problem with that is that there are many great empires who didn't believe that. And they took the land away from the Muslims for many centuries. The Muslims were chased out of Andalusia. So you claim Andalusia, which is Spain. And you also claim Europe up until, I guess, the Hungarian area, because that's the extent of the Muslim, how far the Muslim armies went. So let me just tell you, Mr. Dr. whatever Abbas, you got your PhD based on a lie, so your PhD is a lie and your whole ideology is a lie. There is a universal law of military conquest, that military conquest creates the legal parameters for an area to be considered under the law of the conquering king. In other words, if there's a legitimate king or a legitimate government that does well, for whatever reason, doesn't make a difference if it's just or unjust, just wanted to do it. Once the land has been conquered by an army of a legitimate ruler, where there are universal laws in the country of origin, those laws extend automatically to the captured territory. In other words, military victory creates ownership halachically, and this is not just Jewish law, this is the law of the sons of Noah. This is the Noahide code under which all nations fall. The reason for that is very simple. If you do not recognize that a country is captured and is under the law of a new king, the net result of that will be bloodshed. Because if you're under a king and you don't follow the king's laws, you will be killed. Or you will try to kill the king's men. That will create further bloodshed and create further complications. The only way to negate a victory is by another victory. But as long as there is a victory by a king or by a country under a king or under the rule of a kingdom or the rule of a government, that country owns that territory. That's the law. It's only because of the stupidity of the United Nations. I call it the stupidity of the United Nations because the United Nations is a very impractical organization. The United Nations does not recognize the victory of Israel, yet it accepts the de facto victory of the Russians, who basically took over lands from Japan after World War II and never gave them back. Tibet was uh, occupied by the Red Chinese in the early 50s and lost its independence. The United Nations never recognized Tibet, nor did they ever tell the Chinese to move out of Tibet. The Chinese abused the Uyghurs. They put millions of them into camps. The United Nations doesn't tell the Chinese that they are acting inappropriately. In Sudan, southern Sudan has got oil. Northern Sudan doesn't have oil, wants the oil. They attack southern Sudan and they murder the black natives of southern Sudan that are not Muslim. And the world says nothing. The United Nations says nothing. In all of these instances, you have to say that it is unreasonable to become a policeman and to restore the nation, the control of the areas to their original governments, even though that would be what would be fair. Life is not fair. The lion kills the antelope, and that's not fair to the antelope. But as long as there's a legitimate government that has occupied militarily a place, it becomes the owner of that place. That's the law, and that's practical because it is impractical to right every wrong. You cannot make the antelope alive from the lion. The lion, that's the only way he survives, is by eating antelopes. So that's the law of military conquest. There's a military conquest. The people, the Jewish people, defeated your people. You lost. The land belongs to the victor, including the land that you're sitting on in Ramallah. The fact that you have dreams of an Islamic conquest is because your whole theology is based on that Islam has to conquer the world. The rest of the world doesn't want that. You're basically setting yourself up for a fight that you really can't win. The only reason why you think you can win is because the nations of the world are lazy, they're fat, they're indulgent, and you will destroy them from within. That's what the Islam is thinking about. Or they will poison them, poison their wells, and so on, like some of the big imams have done on the internet. Well, the truth is, the nations of the world will not be cowed, nor will they be destroyed from poisoning a few wells. They won't even be destroyed by a few nukes. They have large territories, vast armies, and vast resources. So all you're doing is asking for heartache, but I'm not worried about that. There is no lawful reason for Israel to allow Arabs to come back to the land when these Arabs try to kill them, swore to kill them, still try to kill them to this day, 80 years later. And therefore, the land belongs to Israel. The land is Israel. Israel had the conquest. In fact, the land you're sitting on isn't yours, it's Israel's land. You have no legitimate right for the land because the land belongs to the people who want it. And on top of that, my friend, not my friend, but my cousin, the Quran acknowledges that the land of Israel was given to the Jews. But I don't need the Quran. The Quran is not an authority for me. The Torah says that the land that you're sitting on is mine. So you will never, ever have title to the land that you're in. The only way for you to get back title, of course, is by creating a war. Is that what you really want? It's a war that you can't win. Not only do the prophets tell us that Israel will be from the sea to the Euphrates, God promises that in the Bible in many places, but as you can see, that's how it's playing out. So it's your choice, Mr. Abbas. You can make peace with it, or you can fight it. But it's not illegal and it's not immoral for them to leave. They lost. It's not theirs anymore. And they should go wherever they please because it's better for them.